mamas, it's your Cajun stork here, Midwife Kira. I believe in truly natural birth, and if you do too, you want to click that subscribe button. Today I'm doing a video with Lane. Lane is the father of one of my babies recently with shoulder dystocia. Lane, tell them what your channel's about.
My channel is called the Travel Vlog Family, and we believe in building stronger family bonds with your kids through travel. So if you're interested in that, you might want to come and check out the channel.
So Lane recently made a video of his son's birth. During his birth, his son experienced a shoulder dystocia, and Lane had, just like every other dad, 1,000 questions about it.
I had no clue what it was whenever you were talking about it. I didn't know.
Even right before we shot this video, Lane started to ask me questions before the video. So we're going to give you a Q&A between dad and midwife about shoulder dystocia from a dad who's experienced it firsthand.
Let's do it.
Now, let me start by saying that Lane has had 2 previous birth center births with his other 2 children, so delivering out of the hospital is not a surprise or something unexpected for him. However, after having 2 completely easy breezy births, this birth was quite different. So let us in a little bit about some of the signs that Krista had that were different than her other births.
She started having some hip pain at the house whenever she was just laboring at the house. And Krista was having a lot more painful contractions than she had had with Amelia and Jacques. And this pain was in her hips. And she was trying to labor through it here at the house before going to the birth center. As the laboring went on, it seemed to be a little bit more and more intense. So I think that's whenever we knew that something was going on there.
And she was really, I think she and you and me, we were all surprised at how tough her labor had been. And so at the actual birth, the baby had come out and we had some symptoms of a shoulder dystocia.
Okay, stop right there. What does dystocia mean?
What a shoulder dystocia means is that as the head is delivered outside of the pelvis, the shoulder actually gets stuck on this pubic bone. And so it actually takes maneuvers done by your healthcare professional to deliver the baby.
Well, that's what I found interesting, because Kira told me what a doctor would normally do. She told me that doctors, whenever they come across babies with shoulder dystocia, they end up breaking the clavicle so that the shoulder can get back down to a spot to where they can actually deliver. I think this is where trust comes in with a midwife. You have to be able to trust that she knows what she's doing. And whenever I saw Kira maneuvering the baby out and telling Krista to flip onto certain positions, you can't do that in a normal hospital. You just sit in the bed and you kind of pray whatever comes out, you know? But whenever you're with a midwife and you're giving birth naturally, you're able to move around and do different things, move different techniques to be able to not have to go through such drastic means.
Right, and so what Lane's talking about here is the clavicle is this bone. It's your collarbone,
Your
essentially.
collarbone, yeah.
And so there are many ways to actually deliver a baby who's experiencing shoulder dystocia. Very, very commonly in the hospital, when we have an epidural, which makes us unable to flip over to hands and knees, the first maneuver that they typically will do if the immediate attempts don't work is to break the baby's clavicle. Now, don't get me wrong, I know this sounds really barbaric, but it is a life-saving maneuver.
It saves lives.
It saves lives, it saves babies. But thankfully, in my experience, all of them have been born completely intact without having to break the clavicles. And this is where truly natural birth really, really shines, because when these moms are unmedicated, they're healthy, they can move around, it gives me the opportunity to use multiple maneuvers like I did with Krista to get the baby out.
Right.
There are multiple things that we can do to try and relieve a shoulder dystocia, no matter whether the arms are crooked or the baby is straight. And the first one just being is called the Gaskin maneuver, and we did it with Krista. We flip mom into a hands and knees position.
Right, okay.
And sometimes just the act of that will help us alleviate that baby being stuck.
So whenever you had Krista flip over to a hands and knees position, what does that do for the baby?
It's a little bit of the position of mom switching positions can actually unlock the baby from that shoulder. It's called a corkscrew maneuver. I can actually do it at the same time where we'll actually insert our hands and try and literally corkscrew the baby out of the pelvis while mom's moving. But also being in a hands and knees position opens up the pelvis by 30%.
Oh, okay.
Compared to being on your back. And so if I've got a baby who's tight and who's stuck on that bone, the first thing I want is to make more room to get that baby out.
Right, okay. So now, whenever you have your hands on the baby and you tell mom to flip, Are you trying to hold the baby in place so that mom can turn to help get the baby out?
I'm literally corkscrewing the baby
So
along
you're turning.
with the turn.
Oh, okay.
I don't have to do that, and it doesn't always work. And in this baby's position, it didn't.
Okay.
In your son's position.
Yeah.
But sometimes that corkscrew maneuver, like while mom is opening her legs and closing her legs to switch positions, we can literally unscrew the baby off of that bone.
I got you. So it's kind of like you take a jar and you're putting the lid on, and it doesn't get threaded correctly,
Right.
and so you unthread it so that you can get it in correctly.
Right.
Is that?
But it's the same thing.
Okay.
We're just gently maneuvering the baby off.
Okay, that makes sense.
So corkscrew maneuver, the gaskin position, which is that hands and knees position. And Krista didn't have to do it, but in the past I've even had to move moms into a position we call running start. So there's another method that we can use prior to breaking the baby's clavicle called suprapubic pressure. And basically if mom's on her back, the person can get above and push down on the shoulder while mom's pushing. And so right above the pubic bone we push, which decreases that width of those shoulders, and hopefully baby will slide right past it.
Right, okay.
We didn't have to go that far in Krista's delivery, but I've
Right.
had to use it in the past. It's been very successful. Suprapubic pressure is an easier one that they can use at the hospital.
Okay.
The corkscrew maneuver, we all use that first, which is where we go in and we try and turn the baby. Everybody does that first. But because in the hospital they just don't have the ability to flip their moms over, more times than not, in my experience, I've seen them break the clavicle.
Right, okay. I gotcha.
One of the risks of shoulder dystocia to the baby is not just that broken clavicle, but they can actually develop a palsy from someone pulling on the head. And so it's really, really important when we're doing a shoulder dystocia that if the shoulder's stuck, pulling on the head's not going to help us. We need to unstick the shoulder. Mom's ability to jump on her hands and knees and do the things that we need to do helps us get our baby out a lot safer.
Right.
So if you look in the link up here, I've got Lane's birth video of his son, and y'all, just because it was a shoulder dystocia, it was still a phenomenal birth, and his video really captures the essence of the truly natural philosophy, so I'd really love for you guys to go watch that. I'll see you over there. Bye-bye. Thanks, Lane.
Oh, thank you.